So guys, thank you so much for this interview. Well, I want to know, how is it to work in a movie that seems like it was so fun to work at?
It was so
It
fun.
was so fun.
That sums it up. Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
We did.
Yeah. And also, I want to know, this movie sums up like something that is really interesting about being a female villain. So how would you say this concept have evolved since, I don't know, the first superhero movie until now?
Interesting question.
I'm trying to think of like the iconic female villains in cinema history. I think it really, I think a popular notion was the femme fatale to begin with, kind of in the noir genre, and there's been obviously incredible iterations of the female villain over the course, but I think what's interesting about right now is this interest and gravitation towards an anti-hero, someone who's kind of doing a good thing, but they're a very flawed character. As actors, we gravitate towards that because you just love to play someone who's conflicted, and that just gives you so much to do. But I think also it's relatable for an audience to see people who aren't perfect and doing it the right way, and they're messy and they're figuring it out and they want to do the right thing and they're not sure how, but they're going to try anyway. And I think in some strange way that is an inspiring message because it seems perhaps more achievable.
And it would seem that this movie is being released at the right time. I mean, it's incredible to see people really excited about it, but would you think that people would have received it the same way, let's say 10 years ago?
No.
Well, we were saying we just don't think it would have been made
It-
10
yeah,
years
I think
ago.
it could have got made.
Hopefully, people would have received it well if they were able to
that's the
see it.
difference,
But I think just the way that our sort of culturally, the films that were being made and the culture of movie making was such that this film wasn't really something that was
There's
being
just a big
made.
misconception that these stories wouldn't do well or shouldn't be told, and I think that's just been blown out of the water because people who go to the cinema are hungry to see the world reflected, you know, and I think we're hungry to see people of all kinds represented in cinema and in all their glory and their flaws and their rage and their compassion. I mean, you want to see yourself up there. And I know for me, growing up, I was like, I've got all these superhero women in my life. I mean, I don't have a lot I can look to on the screen, but I've got them in my life, you know? And so I think the industry's starting to finally catch up to what we know we're capable of.
Perfect. In Glamour, we love to see this kind of stories. So I think it's really full of power and energy. So how would you define a powerful woman?
I think a woman who is really in her truth and in her own identity and doesn't sort of rely on anything else or anyone else to create that identity for her. Someone who kind of creates themselves, you know, and whatever that is, however flawed that is, stands in it, you know, confidently. I think that's power.
Yeah. Ditto.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Cool. Beautifully said. Cool.
And what would you say is the biggest challenge of playing characters immersed in a commonly taken like male world, like the comic world, and then now that we are breaking those stereotypes?
You know, I think though, interestingly enough, in the comic book world, there are a lot of amazing female characters. There's a lot of amazing comic book writers who know how to write the female voice, who are female and non. I mean, and yet I think Hollywood's just kind of now catching up to these amazing characters that have existed for years. I mean, Black Canary was written over 70 years ago, you know, and it's the first time she's gonna be in film. How? Houseway. You know, and so I don't think there's a lack in the necessarily in the
right, in
comics.
the
No, it's
material.
all there in the comics.
Yeah.
There's so many incredible female DC characters. It's just taking our biz a little longer to put them on screen, I guess.
No, totally. And also, what do you love the most about each one of your characters?
I love that Dinah's like all heart, and exploring her, you know, she's guarding her heart when we first meet her. She's very much so in a shell and is just trying to protect herself and just trying to survive. She's not thriving. And yet that's making her go against her nature, because the Dinah Lance we know in the comics leads with her heart, and she helps and protects people. And so I loved playing that art of her reconnecting to her true nature.
I love a lot about her. I mean, in playing her, it's sort of twisted, but I loved her passion for what she does, which is killing people. But it was so fun to play. I mean, and that was a lot of our sort of improvs and stuff, when somebody would mention, you know, that I've killed someone, sort of getting to have that little smile that I'm trying to contain or something, because it just feels so good for her.
So creepy.
But she has her own reasons, you know, that are personal to her, so she feels like she's the hero, like she's doing the right thing. So it was really fun to play that, somebody who's doing this sort of nasty work, but who really believes that she's righteous. You know, that was really fun to play.
And I love that Harley's never sorry, for better or worse. Because in real life, I feel like I'm sorry for everything all the time to everyone. I'm sorry. And Harley is never sorry, even when she should be sometimes. But it's cathartic to get to reenact that.
Well, thank you so much for this interview, guys, and congratulations.
Thank you.